Hey guys, this is Hee-Haw with Dark Moon Cards and Games. Got a little deck feature for you today, and I guess if you're following the format, you'll know these names, Rapid Strike Urshifu and Single Strike Urshifu, and the VMAX forms of those, Corviknight VMAX, ADP, Eternatus VMAX. These are all the best deck in the format that everybody is always telling you about, so you got to play these right. So with all that being said, I'm going to take some time and tell you about Snorlax VMAX. That's right, you heard me, Snorlax. I'm bringing you a look at what is, and has been, my favorite deck of the Sword and Shield era. Whenever I get online and play, and I don't know what to play, or don't feel like playing one of these best deck in the format lists, I always come back and play Snorlax. And if you look over here, you can see I've played 21 games with it. 117 since the last edit. I think it was when I added Crobat to it. It won 5 out of 6 with it. Again, I don't play online all the time, but this is one of my most used decks on here. So that being said, let's get into the deck. Start with Snorlax. The regular Snorlax is not terrible. Kind of standard stats, 220 HP. Swallow for 60. Sometimes you can get there on a first turn going second if you get to a welder, which we'll get to that here too, but that's usually about the only time you ever use that unless you're just in desperation mode. Outside of that, the nice thing is though he does have the 4 retreat cost, which you'll see why that's important here in a minute. So, and then we'll get on to the one that's actually the one used. That's the Snorlax VMAX. One attacks Gmax Fall does 60 damage, 30 more for each of your benched Pokemon, so you can max out at 210 damage, which is okay. It's not great. 220 would be perfect, because that's basically the kind of the level of all these basic Vs that are out in the format. There's a couple I think that go to 230, but 210 misses a lot of these guys, unfortunately. 340 HP, and when we get to the tool that we use, which I'm sure you understand what that is by now, I'm talking about the 4 retreat cost, buff padding, that drives him up to a massive 390 HP, which in this format right now, unless you're up against something fighting, which is a big if at the moment, unfortunately, is massive. There's nothing in the format that can reach that number, so they have to try to 2-hit you. But that's the short and tall of him. Weak to fighting. You got to get your bench full as quick as you can to get to that 210, and we'll try to get to the tool there as well. His partner in crime is, let's get that pretty one, is Cinccino with his Make Do ability. You can discard a card from your hand and then draw 2. So that is basically the same thing that Zoroark GX had in its trade ability, that just has a different name. I think this is probably the most underrated and most underused card in the format. People that played back when Zoroark GX was in knew that they stuck that into decks that you didn't even fight with it in, just because of the draw power of it. You get multiple Cinccinos going on your bench in this deck. There's not anything that you can't get in a turn that you need, unless it's just stuck in the prize cards, unfortunately. That does happen. Energy Assist does 40 damage for 1 energy, and you can attach a basic energy card from your discard pile back to a benched Pokemon. That is nice because of that nasty 210 damage limit from Snorlax. Sometimes you can use Cinccino as a finisher. Also, if you do have to retreat and heal or anything like that, it can help you accelerate some energy back onto him. So Cinccino is not just there for his little adorable looks. Actually has a lot of utility in this deck, both as a draw support and a little bit of energy recovery, not really energy accelerator, I don't guess. Down the Pokemon line there, I think I mentioned I added 1 Crobat. You just have 1 Crobat, 1 Dedenne. Again, just looking to get you out of bad situations. I'd really rather have it full of Minccino and Cinccino as we roll, but those guys will help you get out of a bad start, get things off and running anyway. Looking at the trainers, yeah, this is a deck that, much like some of the fire decks, kind of functions off of the Welder, Giant Hearth, and Fire Crystals, like any of the Charizard variants, or they've kind of become more fireboxes, I guess, than Reshazard decks at this point. But as you can see, we do run a lot of items just to get set up quickly, because we need that bench as full as quickly as we can get it, just for maximum effectiveness on Snorlax, and we do want to be attacking with him on the second turn. Speed is the name of the game with this big round boy. Speed usually does not go hand in hand with Snorlax, but in this deck it does. And just looking at the complement of items that we have, you can see we have 3 Evolution Incense, just 1 Fire Crystal, which I think will make sense why we just run one of those right now. I have 2 Great Balls, and 2 Pokemon Communications, and a full complement of Quick Balls. Then we also have 1 Stamp, 2 Switches, a Tool Scrapper, and of course in the Stadium department we run 2 of the Giant Hearths. And the other item, like I said, is the buff padding. If you have a retreat cost of 4 exactly, you get 50 extra HP. Again, that's just that just makes Snorlax kind of ridiculous, I think, but I guess it's balanced by the fact that his attack is limited. And moving on to the supporters, we do run a full line of Welder, so we get 4 of those. Then we run a mix. I've got 3 Research, 2 Marnie. You could probably mix those any way that you want to if you have a preference. If you don't like to throw away as much, if you like to try to use Marnie as a disruptor, that's easily changed back and forth. Probably the weak point in the deck is we just do have 1 copy of Boss's Orders. And that's really just a space issue at this point. There are probably some ways to remedy that would not be very hard, but a lot of times you're just kind of taking shots with Snorlax, absorbing them, and just dealing damage to whatever they have, and then later in the game you just have to catch something and finish it off to take the game. So multiple copies of that would be nice, but we're just running 1. And because this is an older list, I have not updated it with the new stuff. I do have Mallow and Lana. You have to discard 2 cards from your hand, and you can heal 120 and switch. I think it's pretty obvious with Battle Styles coming out that Cheryl is an immediate replacement for this, because it actually can negate the need to even switch in this deck. But for right now, that's how it is. Gonna play some games with it, and then we'll talk about updating the deck here later. And then that's all the cards there we do run. And this is, I think, what would make Cheryl function really well. We run 3 triple acceleration energies. That covers his attack cost as the VMAX. And then, of course, you have to discard it at the end of the turn, which means you're sitting there with no energy on you, which is perfect for Cheryl, because then you can just heal, then attach a triple acceleration on your next turn, and be right back in business. So that's, I think the Battle Styles definitely gives you a few cards that will make this deck even stronger than it is right now. And I run 7 fire energies, just mostly because of the Giant Hearth, Fire Crystal, Welder combo. Probably, we'll talk about the energy. We'll look at some possible updates for this deck. Look at some different cards. Probably possible to not even try to use this Fire and Welder combination. But right now, it just kind of flows really well the way the deck does, so I've just kind of left it like that. But that's the list as it stands. Speed is the key with Snorlax, like I said. Seems a little ironic to say, but it applies to this deck, and this deck is deceptively fast and comes straight at you, so you have to either find a way to stop it, or basically you lose to this thing. It gets some bad starts every once in a while, but very rarely does it really ever stumble out of the gates. It's pretty consistent. So we'll get in a game or 2 with it, and then like I said, I'll go back and show maybe some cards we can work in here, and show some possible updates and ways that you can take it if you like the idea of the deck. You can always sort of just choose which way to go with it yourself. Let's get a game or 2, and then we'll come back to that. Alright, we generally like to try to go first in this one, just because everybody in this deck does have to evolve. I did win the toss, so I'm going to choose to go first. Really like to see a few more items than we're looking at right now, but got 2 Mencinos out. Can't play supporter, that's the biggest weakness of going first. Get the stadium down and don't need all of these welders. Generally, you might need to weld once playing this, maybe twice. Can't do that. Still no items, I guess we'll just attach and pass. I don't think, obviously playing ADP, don't think they're in a spot where they can do anything to take us out. We do have one extra Pokemon just in case. There's the ADP. Of course, Rusted Sword gives them even more damage, which makes that deck just that much more ominous. But in general, like I said before, this Snorlax deck holds up pretty well against this. Biggest thing I have to be careful of is trying to not bench something like the Dene that they can take out in one shot and take 3 prizes. It's like they'll just use their ability to end and go ahead and use this to get a Cincino. Help us get started drawing. I've got a full complement of everything that I need there. We're going to attack to this active one because we may just or evolve the active one, because we may just end up attacking and just getting that 40 chip damage on there. Another Cincino, not a Snorlax yet, which is not good. I'd definitely like to use that at some point in this game. We'll draw a little bit, see what we can get. Okay, great ball for no Snorlax. Don't want to do the VMAX yet, so we'll just take another Mencino. I'll probably have to Dedenne here. Lose that Fire Crystal, that's the only crystal that I have. That may come back to hurt me, but got enough fire in the deck that I can function without it, as long as I'm not too careless with it. Finally got some Snorlaxes there. I was thinking about benching that one, but I think I want to keep it, just so I can communicate for a VMAX. Because right now we are playing kind of for the next turn. Still got another Make Do I can use, so let's toss that welder, and there's the VMAX. That should make it. Yeah, I can go ahead and bench this other Snorlax. That way, if they do explode on this turn, I'll still have somebody to evolve and fight with. Because Zacian is more than capable of taking out the 220 HP Snorlax. See a Mawile go down. They can't force me to bench anybody, so that's good. I think it maybe has a attack that does something. I don't know how much damage is already on you, I forget. So we'll get the Altered Creation GX, get the damage boost and prize card boost, which I'm going to try to negate with just Snorlaxes here. I do have one Dedenne down, unfortunately. That might be an easy 3 prizes for them. We'll go ahead and draw the Malolana. That's not bad. We don't want to research that away, so we'll just go ahead and retreat. Got the Triple Excel on there. Don't think there's much else to do. Go ahead and get 210. I've got the full bench. Would have liked for this to happen one turn earlier, but other than that, it's kind of going as scripted. Saucer to the Mawile. That's kind of curious. They're just going to try to set up the 4 prize knockout on Snorlax, I guess. And charge Zacian. Like I said, we've got Malolana in hand, if I can say it. Mostly need energy for the other Snorlax and the VMAX, so let's let Cincino do his thing. There's another Cincino. Get 3 of those guys going. Like I said, that's that opens up the draw power of this deck pretty wide open. And there is our other VMAX. Got a lot of other things here we can toss. I don't need the Great Ball. Don't really need the extra Cincino. We'll make do. There's our energy for Snorlax. Even though we've got a fire on him, that's no big deal. We'll go ahead and Malolana, try to heal this active one. Get him switched back and switch Snorlaxes. And I think I mentioned that in the pre-video there too. Really, 2 Snorlax VMAX is all you really need in play. There's no benefit to having a 3rd one. Just keep the pressure on with these two and try to heal them. It's a pretty quick, pretty easy knockout for 3 on the ADP. So now, yeah, lots of things we can do. There's 2 Dedenne down there we can target. I've still got a boss in hand. Definitely want to get rid of this Zacian because the way their board is set up, I think they're going to probably run into trouble getting another attacker. They've got those energies on that Mawile. I'm not sure that was the best choice, but may have just been the only choice that their hand presented them. Another Rusted Sword down, which I'll be glad to get rid of with Tool Scrapper. Again, I only run 1 copy of there. You see an Aegislash. I think that's a hit through Decidueye, Altaria kind of card. I don't think it really serves any other purpose. There's a massive 290, which just makes Snorlax giggle a little bit. I guess it got his attention, but definitely not taking him out. We'll take away 30 of that. With our Tool Scrapper, I'd like to draw into a switch and fight with the other Snorlax. Or I guess get another Malolana. So we'll keep drawing and see where we can get. Another Snorlax there we don't need. May want to hold it though because we get an open bench spot after a knockout. We do want to get keep our bench full. If they do knock out a VMAX, there's already a Dedenne down, so putting down another Snorlax is not going to hurt anything. So yeah, we'll weld. Let's go and weld to the active, trying to get that switch, and then we could just attach triple. The switch doesn't want to come out and play. We got one more make do. Definitely don't need 2 Snorlaxes. There's the Malolana finally. Looks like we'll probably have to just go ahead and take the knockout there. That takes us down to 1 prize card, so we're still in pretty good shape. I've still got a boss, got a triple acceleration, energy in my hand, and a Snorlax that will survive whatever happens here. And they've got a whole bunch of stuff on their side that I can target. Mawile to Dedenne, a Crobat. There's the attack from Mawile to finish him off. Not even trying to figure out the math on that. Did 190. Take 4 prizes off the knockout, but yeah, this pretty quick game. This one's done. We will go there, just attach the triple here, and say goodbye to Mawile. Like I said, most of these games kind of go this way. It's not a hard matchup. There's a quick look at that. Alright, I'm back after playing some games. Just showing you that 1 ADP, because, I don't know, it seems to go in waves like this sometimes when I get online. I played 6 games. Everything was either ADP or Colossal for some reason. Played 2 games against Colossal. Definitely shows the need for one of the changes that I'm going to show you here, and that Colossal and I think probably the Urshifu V decks are probably going to be the same, that the fighting weakness for Snorlax is a little bit too much against those decks. But again, I played 4 ADPs and they all went, most of them went quicker than that one I've actually showed you. You just 2-hit an ADP and then finish off the other stuff. I think I've caught the Dedenne and a couple of those, killed another Zacian in one. It's all about the same. Seems to be a pretty solid matchup, really, for this deck. But anyway, let's get into what we can change. Really, let's start with the energy, since that's what I was talking about. Energy is basically anything that you want to try, and this works because he can use any type of energy. You could change even the basic energies in it if you want to. I think one's just to consider Capture Energy. When you attach it, you get another basic out, because that goes hand in hand with his attack, and filling up a bench seems to be like a okay idea. Draw Energy, not as good maybe, but still it works in here. You attach it and you just get to draw another card, so there's nothing wrong with that. Kind of interested in trying a version with Recycle Energy, because anytime he gets knocked out or whatever, you just get that same energy back. So that Recycle Energy can always be your attachment from your hand. I think if you're going to do that, you play a couple of these and then just go straight Welder the firebox kind of build and focus on playing the welder for the attachments, and you'd always have that recycle in your hand. I think that would allow you to cut your energy count down and add in some other things. So that's an interesting idea to try. What else have we got here? Powerful energy. I like I think this is probably the most interesting addition. Even just one of these takes your damage count up to 230. And that lets you start to one-hit all of the Vs that are in play. All those guys that you just barely miss with this deck right now, just one of these guys gets you over that edge. I guess you probably want to play a couple, or maybe want to play a full count of 4. I don't know. That'd be something you have to mess around with. But this only works on a colorless guy, so there's only a couple Pokemon this even works on right now. And it seems to me like Snorlax would be the best candidate for it of the ones that I've seen. Doesn't really Togekiss. That VMAX getting that little bit of boost there, I don't think makes a huge difference. Actually, the powerful energy seems like it can make a pretty nice difference in this one. And then with the, I guess our last choice there, and probably the most obvious, is the weakness guard energy. Probably going to be a necessity going forward. Like I said, 2 games with Colossal kind of showed me that even with a massive amount of HP, I could still get one hit, and even the one time that I did not get 1 hit, that was an easy 2-hit, even with healing with Mallow and Lana. And Urshifu V has got some stronger attacks than Colossal does, the VMAX versions do anyway. So I think probably at least 2 weakness guard in any version of this that you want to play, just to try to cover that match. And the reason I say 2, if you noticed in the game that I play, that is very standard for the way that I play it. I set up 2 Snorlax VMAX and that's it, just because of the healing portion of it. That's why I only play 3 versions of or 3 copies of the VMAX card, because each one costs you 3 prizes, and if you set up 2 and they get knocked out, then that's a game anyway. So there's really no benefit to set up more than 2. So with that in mind, I would say 2 weakness guard energy would be enough, just 1 for each one. And I pulled up some other trainers to think about too. Talked a little bit about Cheryl. Cheryl is ideal for a deck like this. Encino is an evolution, and so is Snorlax VMAX. Anything that tries to do any sniping, I know Dragapult VMAX will probably see some play again, just because of the psychic weakness of the Urshifu family of cards. And anything else that comes along, if somebody gets close to knocking out your Cincinnos and is doing some damage on your Snorlax, Cheryl just wipes all that off the field. It's a pretty ridiculous card, actually, but seems to be tailored for a deck like this. I'm sure it's going to make anything that you can play it in feasibly is going to just make those decks really tough to deal with. On the supporter line, just because we're talking about so many special energies, you can't really do that without at least mentioning Guzma and Hala. I go in streaks where I play this in decks, and then some I just take it out. I don't know. I don't really know what the benefit versus cost of this card seems to be. I like it in everything that I have it in, so probably a card I should use more. But lets you search out your stadium, a tool card, which is your buff padding, and the special energy, which can be any or all of the ones that we just looked at. So might be one of those things that's if you kind of went away from that welder style build, that you definitely play a couple copies of this in. Especially with Cheryl, you lose Mallow and Lana. Don't know on the Cheryl counts. Seems like maybe 2 would be enough of that, so maybe you just squeeze in 1 or 2 Guzma Hala. But again, just got to play test those ideas and see. And definitely, if you take out Mallow and Lana, you're losing some switching cards. I just wanted to throw these guys up as possibilities. With Cheryl being able to heal your active and not having to do the Mallow Lana trick, you might not have to have as many cards to switch. So maybe an air balloon, and maybe more accurately, maybe the U-turn board is better, because it's just like that recycle energy. If somebody kicks it off, I think you get it back. So that might be something worth looking at, that you just put on either a Cincinno or a Dedenne or something, just so you have a free retreater to send up at the beginning of your turn, and you can come back into your Snorlax when you have it ready. Gives you a little versatility that way. Probably worth looking at that one too. And you definitely have to mention Level Ball. I don't know. I was sitting here thinking as I was putting all this together of whether or not this is better than Great Ball. In Pokemon Communication, lets you get both versions of Cincino and Mincino, and I think as you saw in my game that I showed you here, that I had to kind of lean on those guys early to get the deck started. Doesn't always go that way, but Cincino is a very key part of the deck, so it may be this is a better replacement for Great Ball. I think you've got to keep some Pokemon Communications. Although it's possible you could cut those as well and just go full Level Ball and then Quick Ball and Evolution Incense and just cut the others out. Just kind of go for consistency there. So we'll definitely get another version of this deck rolling, or two probably. I guess the way that I mess around with cards, I'll end up with 8 versions of it probably. I forget which one is which when I'm deciding to play. But that seems to be, at least what I've seen of other options to kind of swap into this deck, those seem to be the best ones. Of course, if you see other things that work, you're welcome to comment on it in the video itself, or try them for yourself. Keep them secret in your own deck if that's the way you choose to go. But I think you'll find that Snorlax Cincino is a just very consistent deck. It's a great deck for somebody that's kind of wanting to get into playing. It's very cheap to put together, and it is very easy to play. I mean, you're really just, everything here is just to get you to one attack. It's really, you're not having to decide what to do. you're driving deep with GMAX Fall, and you're either winning or losing based off that. There's not really any other tricks to this thing. It's just to set up fast and be consistent and keep pressure on somebody. And I think you'll see if you mess around with it that you see the same thing that I do, and that constant pressure on people and getting 210 damage from the second turn on almost every turn is more than most decks are really able to deal with. And I think when you be able to add in some more consistent healing, especially something like Cheryl that can take you all the way down, somebody gets 380 damage on you, and you can just wipe that all off. Malolana only takes 120. Cheryl can remove it all. So I think this deck is a little bit definitely under the radar. I'm sure I'm probably the only person on the planet playing it right now. That's why I make the videos. See if we can get the idea out and give you something else to mess around with and try. So take a minute, if you will, and like and subscribe. Help us support our channel, keep it growing a little bit. This has been Hee-Haw with Dark Moon Cards and Games. Be not afraid. Later.